Avengers. Here's my camera. Hey, heroes. This is Mike L. I'm with the Comic Book Syndicate. We just saw Avengers Endgame, and we'd like to reintroduce our pal from 9 years ago. I think was the last time you were on our show, right?
Yes, 9 years.
It was, what was it?
The Killer.
Scud. The Killer.
The Killer.
The
we
Killer.
reviewed.
And before that, it was Scud.
Scud, the disposable assassin.
And just like Paul Rudd, he hasn't aged a day.
No.
You're looking good for 50, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
5
Okay.
hours.
So let's talk. You know what, Murad, I'm going to let you go first because we were talking in the car. I know I told you to save it for the review, so this is your chance. What is your first impression of Avengers Endgame?
Ooh, that's tough. It was there was so much build up to this movie, and I'm still kind of reeling a little bit. I'm not sure if I was let down or if I really loved it. I feel a little bit, I don't know how to feel about this movie right now.
I feel a little bit let down, and I have to say before we go any further, we are going to spoil this movie because the big spoilers start 5 minutes in. So if you're watching this, stop right now. They kill Thanos within the first 10 minutes, and then the movie goes in an unexpected direction. But the question is, do we like the direction it went, Jolie?
I'm comfortable with the direction it went in. Like Murad, I don't know. Like, I absolutely wanted revenge. I wanted the Avengers to avenge the fallen. But like, about halfway through the movie, I realized, oh, this can only have a happy ending, I guess. And if it is a happy ending, am I okay with that happy ending? Like, I don't know. Am I going to be satisfied? And I realized that maybe I wasn't going to be. Like, that's great that 50% of the living universe comes back, but I don't know if I'm happy with that as an outcome.
Well, let's be clear. We've read comic books before. We all knew that the heroes were going to come back. We probably all knew that everyone else was going to come back. But Becca, was there a better way to do this, or did they do the best they could?
Y'all are sleeping on my fucking Russo brothers. Like, this was the dopest shit I've ever fucking seen. You can blame me 10 times for that, but I'm gonna keep saying it was the dopest shit I've ever seen. You can watch me watch this movie, and I'm literally like fucking orgasming in my seat. This is a comic book nerd's wet dream of a movie. Literally everything that I've ever wanted to see on the screen happened in this fucking movie, including Carol Danvers' haircut. Shut up, Mike. Whatever. Like, I sat here and I watched this movie, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, there's plot holes. Oh, I don't know how, well, whatever. Nope, it was the coolest fucking shit that you'll ever fucking see. That's my hot take on the movie. And I know I like garbage a lot, but everyone is just bullshitting. This was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That was
Mara.
the hottest take.
Mara, was it the coolest fucking shit you've ever seen?
Was not expecting that.
We can read between the lines there. I think you're feeling the way Jolie did, right?
I'm a little conflicted because it was pretty entertaining. I wasn't comfortable with the direction it went because I hate movies when they become predictable, and a lot of movies unfortunately are predictable to me, and it got predictable at some points, and I'm like, no revenge, and it was revenge in the end for me, and I'm like, god damn it. So like I said, it was still pretty entertaining to say the least, and it was funny, but I don't know, it was just not orgasmic for me, just not like her. I was not wet in my seat. Maybe she was.
Boy.
Got moist, maybe.
Yeah, like a lot of
And
like.
always that one. There was
with
no thorax, so it wasn't like
I'm
that.
with Becca, where I agree that a lot of really great things happen, and a lot of things like I wanted to see happen on screen, but I don't know if I necessarily wanted to see it as like the closing chapter of this film. Like, there were some parts where I was surprised at the turn of events, and then it became predictable, and then the events turned again, where Thanos future Thanos finds out their plan because future past Nebula is connected neurally with the past Nebula, so that fucks up their whole scheme. That I didn't see coming.
They're on the same Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, okay, that I thought was kind of cool, but then the way that played out was, it's like they wasted the opportunity for something that cool to happen. Like, part of the plot, spoiler, is that they go back in time to get the Infinity Stones from a different point of time, a different point in time, in order to not fuck with time. So, God, but it just, it's just a little bit off. Things don't land exactly where they should.
I think there is an inherent difficulty in pulling off time travel really well. I think time traveling in the sci-fi pantheon of filmmaking and TV shows is probably one of the hardest things to be able to pull off.
Yeah.
And they did it in a way that it worked. I think, I don't want to be too critical because, I mean, obviously they had to pay off so many things from 10 years worth of movies. What worked? It was funny. I'd say this might even be the funniest Marvel movie that there is. Like, the jokes hit.
Funnier than Guardians?
No,
I
not
think so.
funnier than
I think so.
Guardians.
I think the jokes hit better than they did in probably any other Marvel movie that I've seen. So I thought that it was funny, and I didn't think that it was arduous to get through. I was a little bit concerned when I saw that it was 3 hours, but it didn't feel like 3 hours when it was finally when everything was said and done. I was like, oh wow, I made it. I didn't. I thought it was gonna feel longer than it did, and it was enjoyable to watch. I'm just not sure that it's just so many things happened, and I don't know. I feel like I got to think about it again, or maybe see it again. There was so much to do, and maybe 3 hours wasn't enough. Maybe they needed to do
Volume 1, Volume 2.
Yeah, but, you know, like
Well, this is
parts
already
2 and
volume
3. Yeah.
I do think there was a lot of good things about this movie. There's parts in it that, you know, exceeded my expectations. But let's talk about the middle section of the movie where we essentially revisit scenes. Now, here's the thing. They didn't just go back to random points in history. They went back to specific scenes in other Marvel movies. Now, of course, we're all going to feel nostalgia for those scenes. Of course, they're going to tug at the heartstrings. But the question is, was that a cheap ploy to get people to enjoy it? Or was it clever? Was it smart? Or was it cheap? Anyone?
Well, it's easier that way because we already know what's going on at those points in time. So you don't have to, when your movie's already 3 hours long, you don't have to be like, oh, this is what's going on. Like the whole thing with, spoiler alert, the whole thing with the Tesseract, when they have to go to a spot in time where they weren't before, like they had to develop that point in time, right? There's not time in this movie to develop set 5 other portions. Be like, oh, we're on the planet that the Soul Stone's on. We know going into this that you have to sacrifice someone. So the audience has that entire tension of them going up the mountain and knowing that someone's going to die.
Okay, but that was the only scene that wasn't taking place during a Marvel
But then we
movie
have,
scene.
like, so you go to New York and you have your 3 things, right? So the Hulk goes to the Ancient One, and it's like, oh, well, she's obviously not going to give up the stone. And then that payoff is like, oh, now I understand why Doctor Strange saved Tony. And, like, it gives you some, like, you know that who the Ancient One is already, and what her holding the stone means to her and means to the universe. So it's like, we don't have to explain why she wouldn't give it up right away.
Okay, let's put it this way. I mean, I know that the advantages that came out of that, but then the question still is it just a cheap way to get people to enjoy 30, 45 minutes of the movie?
One, it's a very cheap way to get people. I am going to say yes, because then you get people coming back like Rene Russo, who you probably weren't ever going to see again unless we went into a flashback. And surprise, it's also the day that she dies. So like Thor gets to reconcile all of those feelings that we see him dealing with, like after becoming an alcoholic and an addict. And like, you know, just unhealthy person, and she gets to be the catalyst for him cleaning up. But again, like it's like the funeral scene at the end where you see all of the characters again. It's just a really cheap way to. It's like fan service.
It's too easy. I thought
It's
wasn't
it's
too
like
much
opening an Easter egg.
I think it pays off a lot of the work that they did, though. To look back and show these scenes from these other iconic films that they made really does kind of showcase the fact that this is the climax of all these other things that we've seen. So I understand why they did it, and I thought I didn't feel too conflicted about it.
No, I think there are a lot of other things in the film that cheapen the film more than callbacks to the other films,
true, yeah.
because it has been a very long period in time, and I'm just trying to find things to nitpick at. But if we did want to think or talk about things that cheapen the film, how about that all-girl scene at the end?
Oh yeah.
It was a little contrived. I thought it was
I mean,
weird.
They
think it
pan
was
back, and
a little
every
forced.
single person that was with
She's got help, and not only does she have help,
It's
it's
just
every
women.
fucking woman that they've
And-
ever had in a Marvel
Also,
film.
she didn't need help.
No.
She was like that. I thought that
That's
was
the other
point.
thing that was
Like-
weird, is that like, but we just saw her destroy
Destroy
a
a
gigantic
ship.
starship.
It's like what?
And she is clearly
She just needs to go
just
through that.
blasting through these
Like,
assholes.
And
These
who was it that's
creatures.
like, she has help from me, and like, don't get me wrong, I love Okoye the character, but she's an unsuperpowered just a soldier,
Yeah.
right? Like she's got help from me, and it's like, all right, random just human. Like,
Yeah.
okay, she's literally Captain Marvel. We just saw her shoot in from
I did
space.
not
Like
know. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was definitely just shoehorned in because Captain Marvel did well.
The army, I almost felt like we might get through an Avengers movie without some sort of massive battle between thousands of
video game characters.
yeah. I mean, it seems to be the thing that happens in pretty much every big superhero movie, any team movie, where there's always an army of these kind of nameless, faceless characters.
Yeah.
And there's a
Just
good
punch.
30-minute punch, beat 'em up, smash 'em up. I really felt like this one wasn't gonna do that, and when they did, that's when I feel like maybe they lost me a little bit. It was just the same kind of smash 'em up. We've got thousands of these creatures versus our hopelessly outnumbered heroes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
it felt like we were right back
a
at
little
the
bit of
end
regurgitation there.
of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Infinity
Yeah.
War.
It felt like we were just right back at the end of Infinity
Or
War.
Age of Ultron with
Yeah.
thousands
Or-
of
yeah,
robots.
Or that one
Or
too,
Avengers
yeah.
ones
Right,
with
right.
thousands of aliens.
You know-
It's just always a huge army of. I just thought that, and I mean they were clever with the time travel stuff, but it still kind of came down to this huge all of our guys versus all your guys, which I guess is what a lot of people are probably paying to
Well,
see.
but
how
I would-
else do you showcase everyone?
What I mean is, but what if
Yeah.
we would have showed, like, I don't know how many superheroes there are. Let's just say there's 25. Wouldn't it be cool to see 25 specific villains? I don't know who they'd be, but like, what if they were all characters from the comics? Like, I don't know who, but like ones that we haven't seen before or something,
but, like-
instead of just generic, 1,000 generic ones.
Oh, but then they would have had to have spent another 10 years or
Well-
parts of those 10 years building up those characters. And honestly, thinking about that is exhausting already.
No, you don't have to do that. Even if you just have 25 that are
Well, no, they
not just
had
an army.
The 4 children of Thanos, who were kind of in the
So
battle,
now
but
they
why
need
didn't we
20
just
more.
focus more on them?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
just have
these
them.
4 characters are very, very strong.
Right. Just have. And that's what I mean.
And they're already
You had
developed.
3 people fighting Thanos, 3 or 4. You could have had 3 heroes on only 1 villain for all of them, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Instead, we watched them play monkey in the middle with the Infinity Gauntlet again.
Yeah.
And like, but they and it was like that was heavy-handed, where they were tossing it to each other, and it's like, oh, I have it, and then Peter Parker gets it, so we can see all this cool shit that his suit does, and then he tosses it to Valkyrie, and then you can see him like flying around because his web is stuck to Thor's hammer, and it's like, this is not the movie I paid to see.
Well, and
I liked
And
it.
here's the other thing is, with the, we're not going to talk too much about the Infinity Gauntlet comic by Jim Starlin, who, by the way, was in the movie in
Did
the
you see him?
in the little circle of like
the
Grievers.
yeah, the Grievers. He was the bald guy with
It wasn't the
glasses.
gay one.
Yeah.
That was
Anyway,
Russo.
Yeah.
So with Infinity Gauntlet, one of the cool things about that is that it's like, well, who's going to get the Infinity Gauntlet? And it's also, when they do get it, do we trust that person? Are they tempted by the power, like in Lord of the Rings? Well, in here, it's just whoever gets it does exactly what they want it to do. In which, by the way, the only way to activate the gauntlet is to snap your fingers, apparently. It's the only way, right? Like, I don't know why that was a thing, but whatever, okay.
Because it's cool.
Oh.
I think it's just symbolic of an action. It's
Yeah.
a really quick, instant in time action, and it's symbolic of, of how such a small thing like a butterfly flapping its wings can affect the course of time. Just a small
Don't
snap of
know.
your
I mean,
fingers.
going back to the cheap topic.
Sometimes things are just cool, guys. Like,
This is, I don't know.
it's a
It was
comic
just-
book movie.
I think you
Everyone's
build up
too
this
harsh.
much expectation into something that it becomes almost more difficult to enjoy fully. Obviously not for Becca, but maybe for the rest of us.
You're thinking too hard about this. It was superhero movie.
Here's the thing is, when you're going in, you have the Infinity Gauntlet, you have time travel, you know that they're going to do something with time travel or with the reality gem, you know that they're going to alter things. I do think that they did a fairly good job, but I think what you said, Murad, is true. It just felt like, as you're going through the movie, it just felt like, oh, it's good, it's not so good, it's good, but it didn't quite take off, and it felt in the end disappointing. And I noticed when the movie ended and the credits rolled, there was kind of an indifference from the audience. I didn't see the eruption of applause,
No.
right?
No, there definitely wasn't an eruption of excitement.
No, it was
or,
just,
wow,
oh.
yeah, that was great. It was just kind of a, huh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Exactly.
I think we
Hawkman?
should talk about Hawkeye
Hawkman
and
and
Ant-Man.
Ant Guy.
Hawkeye. I'll just say I can't stand Jeremy Renner, so
You're just wrong.
I wish he was
God.
dead.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you're
go ahead.
wrong.
Coming from a place of like pretty, I guess I'm the newest, but it's like, or not the newest, I just don't read Marvel, and I hate to say that, but I don't understand who Ronan is. So to have him become Ronan because of the death of his family, like, kind of seemed really strange to me. Like, you witness one, okay, let's just go back to the start of the film. It opened amazingly.
Yep, that was a good open.
We don't see him in Infinity War, but we see him at the start of this film, and it was heartbreaking. And I thought, oh great, I'm just gonna be crying through this whole entire film. But the next time you see him, he's like this assassin. He's assassinating bad guys in Tokyo. I don't understand the jump or why it was necessary to kind of put his character in that place, other than to shoehorn another Easter egg in for fans.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
he could have just been depressed somewhere else, or doing, you know what I mean? Like everyone else who seems to be just as depressed about losing half of the world, he moves on by becoming an assassin. Like, I don't really get why they would introduce him as Ronin.
I mean, they could've
other than to
developed it.
introduce Ronin.
That's what I mean. They could have developed it better. It wasn't badly done. It was just that it was so skimmed over that it just seemed like shoved in there.
I think you have to kind of skim over so much when you have that many characters. It is a really challenging thing, and I mean, I commend them for, pulling it off to an extent, but maybe something like this is too challenging to do in a movie setting. Maybe these are the kind of things that are better suited to a serialized kind of TV show that can really kind of delve into every aspect of these characters and develop them in a way that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, because it seems really strange that happening would drive him away from his family and friends. Like, now, Black Widow and Iron Man and, well, not Iron Man, I guess he's in a ship right now, but like, Black Widow at least, for some reason they're separated and she's searching for him and she's keeping her eye on him. But like, why would all of this why would losing his family drive him away? Why would losing everything drive Thor away? Like, why would it? There was no wedge to be wedged in between everybody. It seemed a little
Forced.
weird that they had to like get the team back together fucking again. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
no, I know. Okay, let's just put it this way.
You could have like written all of that out and just had her go get him when the time came, and just written him as a side character, and it would have been
Well, here's the thing: is that
Insane.
it's because we're talking about that this would be better for TV. I've also heard people say that they hope that the Marvel universe gets more cosmic now. I actually hope the opposite. I think this movie proves it. I think they've gotten so big, and they've got so many characters that the only place to go is scaling back down and getting Like the scene at the beginning with Hawkeye was the best scene in the movie. It's because it was just them having a picnic and hanging out. That's what they need to do more of, because when it gets to the end of the movie and it's all these CGI characters, that was the point of the movie where it started to resemble Justice League, where it's like just ugly CGI and people fighting and I don't even care what's going on. Chaos, right?
Yeah, maybe if anything, maybe that would be my criticism, that it's almost it's just too big. And when you try to have that many characters and that much stuff going on, it's hard to knock it all out of the park. Like I said, I think it's the funniest Marvel movie that there is. There were some really great payoffs, some things that I think definite fan service, things that we all were very excited to see. I think everybody seeing Captain America hold the hammer was like, it was like,
Like,
oh, yes,
The coolest thing I've ever read in my childhood.
See, the audience loved that.
That's payoff, though.
erupted,
That's
right?
5 years of payoff.
Yeah, there were some great moments, but I think that, maybe it's just a little too big for its britches and that something a little bit smaller. And I will say, Thanos is probably one of the best villains that they've ever had. And I think that needs to be Marvel's focus now, is like really developing their villains
Because
a
they're
lot
known
more.
for having weak villains, true.
Because the
Did
films,
you guys watch
have
Spider-Man?
been a bit weak.
I don't know. Vulture was dope.
They're on an uptick
No.
in terms of villains. I think they're on an uptick. Definitely, Vulture was a better one. Killmonger was a better one. Thanos. So they're
getting better.
They are getting better now, and I hope that hopefully continues moving forward, because I think the villains are what makes the story really.
Oh God, yeah.
Is the
course.
core
Right.
of it's
Right,
the threat.
Joker,
It's the
Joker,
challenge.
exactly. So let's talk about this. Without spoiling the ending of this movie, where do we see Marvel going now? I mean, things are going to be drastically different. Where do we want to see it go, Becca? I'm sure you have ideas.
Well, the next movie's Spider-Man, right?
Yes.
And that's one kid versus Mysterio, right? So I think this was their big explosion of like 10 years of Marvel movies. This is everything that we've ever done and had in store, and we've tied up our two biggest characters' stories, like Iron Man and Captain America. They're done. We're now going to focus, we're going to basically almost restart, but have an established universe. So now it's like Spider-Man, he's going to be one character's movie, and it's going to be him versus another character. And I think like the next movies coming up, like when we have Black Panther and then the more Captain Marvel, it's still going to be that one character's problems. So I think that's what these Avengers movies have always been. It's just a culmination of the universe and like how it clashes together. But the best parts of Marvel are the little pieces that have made up those big moments, right? So like I loved this movie so much, but I think it had to get made the way that it was made, because the pieces have to fit together, and that's how they fit together, is in big giant CGI bashes. But then you still have each little piece is perfect and it fits together, maybe not so perfectly, but the big picture's cool, right? I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, but I just think
So they'll focus on smaller pieces?
it's gonna go in and out. We're gonna have our next kind of like Avengers roster. We're gonna have like Falcon and Bucky, and you're gonna have the Guardians, and you're gonna have Valkyrie, and you're gonna have Captain Marvel, and then they're gonna keep going and making movies. Doctor Strange will get a sequel, but we're gonna focus on them, and then they'll have another big amalgamation, and then whatever characters are introduced again, they're just gonna go down, and then we'll have smaller movies, because Disney's making so much money that this is not going to stop.
No, it's not going to stop.
Ever. There's no end in sight.
No.
This isn't like Star Wars where they're like, we're gonna cool down. No,
There's no reason to, right?
Captain Marvel just made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like, this
yeah,
movie's
no,
gonna make a ridiculously amount of money.
Mara, what do you think we're going to see next? Or in the future, the near future for Marvel?
Scarlet Witch.
In a
I
movie.
love Scarlet Witch, so
she's
I
getting
think
a series.
she's. Oh,
Her,
really?
her and Loki are getting series.
Awesome, both. Oh,
Yeah,
My favorites.
there's a lot in terms of the Disney Plus and the TV shows that are coming out. Falcon and Winter Soldier are getting a series.
Awesome.
Wanda's getting a series.
I don't know. If,
Hawkeye's
I
getting
don't
a
know what
series.
series, but
Loki's getting a series. It's a lot. What I start to wonder is, what are they going to spend the next 10 years building up to? And is it going to take them 10 years until they want to do their next big thing. And what will that be? Will that be Secret Invasion? Will it be Secret Wars? Will it be the coming of Galactus?
Will they just write something that we've never heard or seen before?
Will they
Unlikely.
create something
Yeah.
completely new?
I doubt.
Or like our theaters. Like, can you imagine the technology of our theaters by then too? I don't know. It's like
We're watching
like
in the
it's
back
so
of our
cool.
eyelids.
I like our theaters the way they are personally,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, but you said that
No,
before we got
I like
recliners, and the
3D.
recliners are.
Yeah, it's okay. But so Jolie, what do you see coming
Wind
for the
effect.
Marvel Cinematic Universe? What do you want to see?
What do I
I've
want to
worked
see?
so
I don't
hard
know.
again.
Like, it's hard for me to like, because I'm exhausted. I want to see a big break, and maybe that is what we're all talking about, which is series. We're just gonna slow down and focus on that Disney Plus shit, and just like grind it out on TV for a little, and then pick it back up again. I don't hate a big money maker. I think blockbusters are fantastic, but I think there is such a thing as too much, and I feel like even though Disney is a huge money making trap, like they're not stupid. They'll dial it back a little.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I personally think that we're going to get to see now, based on the popularity of fucking characters like Iron Man, like we're gonna get to see Squirrel Girl now. Like characters like Squirrel Girl are gonna get their own series and become super popular, hopefully. And
Hopefully, yeah.
yeah, a lot of like the sort of C rosters. I don't know.
Well, there's also tons of stories we haven't seen. Like, as far as big storylines to build up to, they could do Secret Wars. They could do, like, if they're going to bring in the X-Men, they could do the Mutant Massacre. If they're going to bring the Fantastic Four, they could do the Galactus
House of
trilogy
M.
with Silver Surfer.
Yeah, House M.
House
I
of
mean,
M.
that'd be, well, not House of
Yeah,
M,
like,
but
how is
it'd be,
X-Men
not
it would be
House of M?
great to build up to Galactus. That could be the next big thing since they own them now, right?
Yeah, I think that for me is probably the most exciting thing about what's going to happen with the Marvel movies over the next few years is that I may have my criticisms of the Marvel movies, but the one thing that they've been able to do since day one, Marvel Studios has really captured the aesthetic of the superheroes themselves. When I watch the movies, I feel like, yeah, that's Spider-Man. That's what Spider-Man would look like if he was swinging around.
Tobey
That's
Maguire.
what Iron Man would be like if he was flying around doing his thing. I can't wait to see Fantastic Four and X-Men done properly because there have been. I've never been a fan of the X-Men films. I never was a fan of the Fantastic Four films.
one is.
I'm really just kind of
Oh, here.
excited. I can't wait to see how they're integrated into the MCU.
I'm just looking forward to characters that we haven't seen before. Like Jolie said, Squirrel Girl. I want Kamala Khan. I want Young Avengers. I want some of these newer characters. I want Miles Morales. Like
Me
we
too.
watched Into the Spider-Verse and we saw how amazing
Spider-Verse.
Miles is. So
So
like
cool.
let's give him live action. Like there's so many just itty bitty like teeny tiny characters that we could just be like, oh, let's give Flatman a movie. Let's give the Doorman a movie. Let's
Well,
give like
Here's the thing,
the
though.
West Coast Avengers a movie.
I'm just gonna say this: they got to be careful because then they might be going into Star Wars territory where they start thinking anything they do is gonna make $1 billion, and they're gonna realize, oh shit, if we do a Flatman movie and that doesn't make at least $500 million.
I'm just saying, like, as weird,
Yeah.
obscure characters,
Sure,
right? Like,
yeah.
like a Squirrel Girl movie done well would be phenomenal. Flatman movie probably not, but like, you can't say that a Doorman movie wouldn't be cool.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean it's Disney, right? And they have a foothold. Their brand is a foothold in like almost all kinds of like media outlets. So it's like, we may not get a Flatman movie, but maybe we'll get like a web series.
And the truth is I do believe that Guardians of the Galaxy proved that it's not the characters, it's the writers and the directors. They can, as long as you have good creative people, they can make any character work.
Yeah.
Right? Which DC proved by taking great characters and making shitty movies out of. But anyway,
Except
okay.
Except for Wonder Woman.
Yeah, yeah, except
And
for Wonder
Shazam.
Woman.
And
And maybe
Shazam.
Shazam. And Aquaman.
And Joker probably is going
And
to be
maybe
really
Joker.
good too.
Okay, so
Where's
I
my
thi-
Tigra movie? I want a She-Hulk movie, like
So-
White Tiger movie.
I think, you know what? I think that people are gonna, the audiences are gonna forgive all the flaws. They're gonna love it. They're gonna eat it up. It's gonna make $2 billion. But 10 years from now, it'll probably be looked back on the way we look back at like Thor: The Dark World or Iron
Ooh, I
Man
don't know
3.
if it's gonna be looked
Maybe
back
not
at.
that bad.
That.
But it's just,
It's not
it's gonna be the lesser of the two. last Avengers movie.
I mean, I think Infinity War was stronger.
Yes.
Ah.
I think Infinity War was stronger than
Yeah.
Endgame, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Any movie that has a sad ending is always stronger than that happy ending that follows it. Like Harry
That's
Potter
true.
did this too.
Yeah, Empire Strikes
Return
Back,
of the
Return
Jedi.
Right? The
Yeah.
ending that is oh shit. That's always a better movie than the one where it's like, okay, we did it, we saved the
did it.
day.
I mean,
Because-
this had kind of a sad ending,
But it was satisfying. It ended a story. It ended two men's very long, very tiring stories. Right?
true.
So you
There
had
is
an
a
ending.
cop-out. Yeah.
And it was complete.
So there you go, folks. Avengers Endgame. Meh.
You're gonna
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame. You'll probably see it twice. What do I want to see? I want to see a pillow. But
Hello.
It's like 2 a.m.
yeah.